I stood at the altar in a tuxedo that cost more than my first car, watching the woman I loved walk toward me on the arm of a man she'd once told me was dead to her. The church was packed. 250 guests, most of them her family, her friends, her parents' business associates. My side of the aisle looked sparse in comparison. My brother Mark sat in the third row with his wife. My mother was there, dabbing her eyes with a handkerchief that probably cost $50. My father had passed 3 years ago, and I'd never felt his absence more than in that moment, because I needed someone to tell me I wasn't crazy for feeling what I was feeling. Her ex-boyfriend Derek walked her down the aisle. Not her father. Not her brother. Not her uncle. Her ex-boyfriend. The man she'd dated for 4 years before me. The man she'd told me was toxic, manipulative, and emotionally abusive. The man she'd said she'd never speak to again. The man she'd cried about in the middle of the night when she thought I was asleep, whispering his name like a prayer she couldn't let go of. Now he was giving her away like she was his to give. I should have stopped the wedding right there. Every rational part of my brain was screaming at me to turn around, walk down that aisle, and drive straight to the nearest bar. But I didn't. Because I loved her. Because I'd invested 3 years of my life, my savings, my emotional energy, my everything into building a future with this woman. Because I'd convinced myself that this was just her way of getting back at me for some imagined slight, a power move to remind me that she could have had anyone. And because I was a coward who didn't want to admit that the woman I'd proposed to might not love me back. Her dress was breathtaking. She'd spent $8,000 on it, and she'd made sure I knew the price tag. I'd paid for half of it, not because I wanted to, but because she'd told me that if I really loved her, I'd contribute to the most important day of her life. So I'd work 60-hour weeks at the construction company I'd started from nothing, and I'd handed over $4,000 for a dress she'd wear for exactly 6 hours. Her heels were Christian Louboutin. Red Soleils. Another $1,000 I'd never see again. Her hair was done by a stylist who'd flown in from New York. Her makeup was by someone who'd done a celebrity's wedding. Her bouquet was imported roses from Colombia. Everything about this wedding was designed to make me feel small. To remind me that I was marrying up. That I was lucky to be here. That without her family's connections, their money, their status, I was just a guy who swung a hammer for a living. Derek wore a tuxedo that matched mine exactly. Same cut. Same color. Same everything. I'd asked her about it 2 days ago. I'd seen the fitting appointment on her calendar. Why is Derek coming to the wedding? I'd asked, trying to keep my voice steady. She'd laughed. Don't be silly, baby. He's just a friend now. We've come so far. He's been through so much therapy. He wanted to support us. He's your ex-boyfriend. Ex-boyfriends can be friends, Ryan. It's the 21st century. Grow up. Grow up. Those were her exact words. I'd grown up in a trailer park with a single mother who worked double shifts at a diner. I'd grown up when my father died of a heart attack at 57, leaving me nothing but a toolbox and a lesson about how quickly life could take everything. I'd grown up when I started my own business at 23 and had to learn how to negotiate, how to build, how to survive in a world that didn't care about my feelings. But to her, I was the one who needed to grow up. Now Derek was standing in my spot on the altar. The officiant, a family friend who'd known her since she was a child, smiled like everything was perfectly normal. The bridesmaids, all her sorority sisters, giggled behind their bouquets. The groomsmen, my only friends in the wedding party, looked at me with pity I couldn't afford to acknowledge. Her mother sat in the front row, diamond necklace catching the light, watching me like I was a piece of meat she'd had to settle for. Her father, a retired real estate developer who'd made his fortune buying and selling land, had never looked me in the eyes for more than 3 seconds. He'd called me the contractor for the entire 3 years we'd been together. The contractor wasn't an insult to him. It was a category. Like the gardener or the pool cleaner. I was hired help who'd gotten too comfortable. Derek handed her off to me with a smirk I wanted to punch off his face. He patted my shoulder like we were old friends and stepped to the side, taking a seat in the front row directly next to her mother. The same spot my father would have sat in if he were alive. The ceremony started. The officiant spoke about love and commitment and building a life together. I heard every word and none of them. My mind was spinning, trying to process what I was seeing, what I was feeling, what I was supposed to do. I looked at her. At my fiancée. At the woman I'd proposed to on a beach in Mexico, down on one knee, heart pounding, so certain she was the one. Her eyes were on Derek. Not on me. Not on the vows being read. Not on the future we were supposed to be building. On Derek. I'd seen those eyes before. The way they looked at him like he was the sun and she was just waiting to burn. The way her body language changed whenever he was in the room. The way she'd get quiet and distant after she'd run into him somewhere, like she was reliving something she couldn't quite let go. I'd convinced myself it was nothing. I'd convinced myself that insecurity was unattractive. I'd convinced myself that if I just trusted her enough, loved her enough, proved myself enough, she'd finally see me the way I saw her. Now I was standing at the altar, watching her stare at another man, and I understood that I'd been lying to myself for 3 years. The vows came. I said mine with a voice that didn't sound like my own. Promises about forever, about loyalty, about building something together. She said hers with the same voice she'd used to order coffee, perfunctory and empty. And then the officiant said the words that would change everything. Does anyone present know of any reason why this couple should not be joined in holy matrimony? Derek stood up. The entire church went silent. I could hear my own heartbeat, loud and panicked, like a trapped animal trying to escape. I could hear her mother gasp. I could hear my brother Mark shift in his seat, ready to intervene, ready to protect me from whatever was about to happen. I do, Derek said. I have something to say. He walked up to the altar with the confidence of a man who knew exactly what he was doing. He'd planned this. The matching tuxedo. The walk down the aisle. The seat in the front row. Everything had been building to this moment. My fiancée's face went pale. Not with anger. With fear. Real, visceral fear that told me everything I needed to know. Ryan, Derek said, turning to me, there's something you should know about the woman you're about to marry. I wanted to stop him. I wanted to tell him to sit down, to shut up, to leave us alone. But the words wouldn't come. I'd spent my entire life being quiet. Being the peacekeeper. Being the one who absorbed pain so other people didn't have to. And in that moment, my silence was the loudest thing in the room. 3 years ago, Derek continued, I was engaged to this woman. We had a date set. We had a venue booked. We had everything planned. And then she called it off. The crowd murmured. Her mother looked like she was about to faint. Her father was gripping the armrest of his chair so hard his knuckles had gone white. She told me she wasn't ready. She told me she needed space. She told me it was the right thing to do, for both of us. Derek smiled, and it wasn't a kind smile. It was the smile of a predator who'd just cornered his prey. What she didn't tell me was that she'd already started seeing someone else. Someone she'd met at a bar while we were still together. Someone she'd been talking to for months behind my back. I felt the words hit me like physical blows. The woman I loved had been cheating on her ex with me. I'd been the other man, and I hadn't even known it. I found out after the fact, Derek said. I found out from a friend who'd seen them together. I confronted her, and she denied it. She gaslit me. She made me feel crazy. She told me I was paranoid and controlling and that I needed therapy. And like an idiot, I believed her. His voice cracked. For a moment, the smugness faded, and I saw real pain underneath. Real hurt. Real betrayal. I spent 2 years in therapy trying to figure out what was wrong with me. 2 years thinking I'd ruined the best thing that ever happened to me. And then I found out she was engaged to a guy named Ryan, and something didn't sit right. He pulled a folded piece of paper out of his jacket pocket. I recognized it immediately. It was the engagement announcement we'd sent out to friends and family, the one with our pictures and our story and all the details of our relationship. I did some digging, Derek said. I found out the date you met. The date she told you they'd broken up. The date she told you she was single and ready to move on. He handed me the paper. I circled them for you. I looked at the paper. There were 3 dates circled in red ink. The date she'd told me we met. The date she'd told me her previous relationship had ended. The date she'd told me she was finally free to love again. None of them were true. She'd lied to both of us. She'd overlapped us. She'd been telling me she was done with him while she was still sleeping in his bed. She'd been telling him she needed space while she was planning dates with me. She'd played us against each other, and neither of us had known. That's not the worst part, Derek said. The worst part is that she's still doing it. The church was dead silent. Even the babies had stopped crying. Every single person in that building was hanging on Derek's every word, waiting for whatever bomb he was about to drop next. Last month, she called me, Derek continued. She said she needed to talk. She said she'd made a terrible mistake. She said she'd never stopped loving me, and that the only reason she was marrying Ryan was because her parents approved of him. Because he was safe. Because he was stable. Because he had a good job and would take care of her and never ask too many questions. I felt the floor drop out from under me. The only reason she was marrying me. Her parents approved. I was safe. I was stable. I was the backup plan. She said she wanted to run away with me, Derek said. She said we could leave everything behind. She said she had money saved, enough to get us started somewhere new. All I had to do was show up at the wedding and make one final play. He pulled a phone out of his pocket. I recorded the conversation. A voice filled the church. It was unmistakably her. The same voice I'd heard whisper sweet nothings in my ear. The same voice I'd heard say she loved me. The same voice I'd heard planning our future. I never loved him, Derek. He's just a placeholder. He's nice. He's stable. He'll make a good provider. But he doesn't make me feel the way you do. He never has. There was more. So much more. The recording went on for almost 5 minutes, and every second was a knife in my heart. She talked about my clothes. My education. My family. My business. She made me sound like a charity case she'd taken in because she felt sorry for me. She talked about our sex life with brutal honesty, comparing me unfavorably to Derek in ways I'll never forget. She talked about my mother, my brother, my dead father. She made me small. She made me pathetic. She made me the butt of a joke only she and Derek were in on. When the recording stopped, I couldn't look at her. I couldn't look at anyone. I was frozen in place, my whole world crumbling around me. This is why I'm here today, Derek said. Not because I want her back. Not because I want to destroy her. But because I've been exactly where you are, Ryan. I've been the guy who trusted someone who didn't deserve it. I've been the guy who was made to feel like the problem. And I couldn't stand by and watch another man go through the same thing. He looked at her. Really looked at her. I came here to expose you. That's all. I don't want to be with you. I don't ever want to see you again. I'm done being your toy. He turned to me. I'm sorry, man. I know this is hard. But you deserve to know the truth before it was too late. He walked out of the church. The front door slammed behind him, and the sound was like a gunshot. For a long moment, no one moved. No one spoke. The entire congregation was waiting for something to happen, someone to say something, anything that would explain the chaos they just witnessed. I turned to my fiancée. Her face was white. She opened her mouth to speak, but nothing came out. For the first time since I'd known her, she had nothing to say. Her mother stood up. "This is preposterous," she said. "That man is clearly unstable. He made all of that up. He's obsessed with our daughter. He's been stalking her for years." I didn't look at her. I was staring at my fiancée, waiting for her to say something. Waiting for her to defend herself. Waiting for her to tell me it was all lies, that Derek was crazy, that she loved me and only me. Instead, she looked at her mother. "Mom, please. Not now. Not I didn't mean it. Not he's lying. Not I love Ryan and I want to marry him. Just not now, like I was an inconvenience. Like I was in the way of her dealing with the fallout." "You're a piece of work," I said. "You know that." Her head snapped toward me. "Ryan, don't." "Don't what?" I said. "Don't ruin the wedding? Don't embarrass you in front of your family? Don't make a scene." I pulled the ring off my finger. It was a beautiful ring. I'd saved for 6 months to buy it. I'd picked it out myself, spent hours looking at diamonds, trying to find the perfect one. It was the most expensive thing I'd ever bought. And now it felt like a shackle. "Did you ever love me?" I asked. "Even once? Or was I just the guy who was convenient?" She didn't answer. She looked at her mother again. She looked at her father. She looked at her bridesmaids. She looked at the congregation, at the 250 people watching her fall apart. She looked everywhere except at me. "Answer me," I said. "Did you ever love me?" "I cared about you," she finally said. "I really did. It's just complicated. You don't understand what it's like to be under this kind of pressure. To have everyone expecting so much of you. To feel like you're drowning and you just need someone to hold on to. So you used me." "I didn't mean to." "I'm not asking what you meant. I'm asking what you did." She couldn't look at me. She couldn't admit what she'd done. She couldn't face the person she'd destroyed. "I'm done," I said. "I'm done being your safety net. I'm done being your plan B. I'm done being the guy you settled for because someone better wouldn't have you." I walked down the aisle. Past her mother, who was crying. Past her father, who was staring at his shoes. Past my brother, who stood up to follow me. Past all the people who'd watched me be humiliated on the most important day of my life. The church doors opened to the most beautiful day I'd ever seen. Sunshine. Blue sky. Birds singing. The world was going on like nothing had happened, like my entire life hadn't just been destroyed by a woman who never loved me. Mark caught up to me in the parking lot. "Ryan. Ryan, wait. Not now, Mark." "Yes, now. You're not going to do something stupid, are you?" I laughed. It was a hollow sound. "What, like drive off a bridge?" "Don't worry. I'm not going to kill myself over her. She's not worth it." "Good. That's good. What are you going to do?" "I don't know. Drink. Sleep. Figure out how to unfall in love with someone who was never really there. Want some company?" I looked at my brother. He was 10 years older than me, and he'd spent his entire life being the steady one. The reliable one. The one who held things together when everything was falling apart. He'd lost his wife to cancer 3 years ago, and he'd still shown up at every family dinner, every holiday, every important moment, smiling through his pain like it was nothing. "Yeah," I said. "Yeah, I think I could use some company." We sat in the parking lot and watched the church empty. Her family streamed out, all of them looking like they'd just witnessed a car accident. Some of them glanced my way. Most of them didn't. Her mother got into a black SUV and drove off without looking back. Her father followed in a Mercedes. All the bridesmaids piled into a limo and disappeared around the corner. She came out last. She was alone. Her dress was too big for her now, like it had been made for someone else entirely. She looked around the parking lot like she was searching for something. For me, maybe. Or for Derek. Or for any of the people who were supposed to be there for her. She didn't see me. Mark had parked behind a truck, and I was hidden from view. I watched her walk to her car, a BMW her parents had bought her for graduation, and get inside. She sat there for a long time, not starting the engine, just staring straight ahead. And then she started to cry. I'd never seen her cry before. Not really. I'd seen her get emotional about movies and books and commercials. I'd seen her cry at her grandmother's funeral. But I'd never seen her cry like she was crying now. Like something had broken inside her and she wasn't sure how to fix it. For a moment, I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. And then I remembered the recording. I remembered everything she'd said about me. I remembered the way she'd looked at Derek during the ceremony, like he was the sun and I was just a cloud passing by. I turned away from her and didn't look back. The next few weeks were a blur. I moved out of the apartment we'd shared. It was in her name anyway, her parents had bought it for her as an investment property, so all I had to do was pack my stuff and leave. It was amazing how little I actually had. 3 years of my life, and it all fit into the back of a pickup truck. I stayed with Mark for a while. He had a spare room that he'd kept empty since his wife died. It still smelled like her. Gardenias. She'd always worn gardenia perfume. I'd never had the heart to tell Mark how much it bothered me. "You need to get back on your feet," he said one night. "What are you going to do about the business?" The business. I'd almost forgotten about it. I'd spent the last 3 years building a construction company from nothing, and I'd let my fiancée run all over me because I was too distracted by her to focus on what really mattered. I'd started the company when I was 23. A small operation. Just me and a few guys I'd worked with on previous jobs. We'd grown slowly, carefully, building a reputation for quality and reliability. By the time I met my ex, I was making good money. Not her family's kind of money, but enough. Enough to support myself, to save for the future, to feel like I was building something real. "The business is fine," I said. "We've got work lined up for the next 6 months. It's not going anywhere." "That's good. That's really good, Ryan. What about you? How are you doing?" Mark shrugged. "I'm fine. I've got my routine. It helps." His routine. Work, home, dinner, TV, bed. Repeat. He'd been doing the same thing for 3 years, and every time I saw him, he looked a little more hollow. A little more empty. Like he was going through the motions without really living. "Maybe you should get out more," I said. "Meet some people. Do something different." "Maybe I should," he said. But we both knew he wasn't going to. He'd given up on the possibility of happiness after his wife died, and nothing I could say was going to change that. 3 months after the wedding, I got a call from her mother. I almost didn't answer. I didn't recognize the number, and I was in the middle of a job site, dealing with a crane operator who'd shown up drunk. But something made me pick up. Ryan. Her voice was different. Softer. More fragile. It's me. Can we talk? I don't think that's a good idea. Please. I know I'm the last person you want to hear from. I know I've done terrible things. But this is important. This is about my daughter. I should have hung up. I should have told her I wasn't interested in anything she had to say. But I didn't. Because I wanted to know. I wanted to know what had happened to the woman who'd destroyed me. She's been in the hospital, her mother said. She tried to take her own life. I didn't know how to respond to that. I didn't feel anything. No sympathy. No pity. No relief. Just a blank, empty numbness that surprised me. She's in the hospital, and she's asking for you. I know you don't owe her anything. I know you have every reason to hate her. But she's not well, Ryan. She's not herself. And she needs to make amends. Make amends, I repeated. Is that what she's calling it? Please. Just come see her. One time. If you still want nothing to do with her after that, I'll never call you again. I don't know why I agreed. Maybe I wanted to see her suffer. Maybe I wanted closure. Maybe I just wanted to hear her admit that she'd been wrong, that she'd made a terrible mistake, that I wasn't the pathetic placeholder she'd made me out to be. I went to the hospital the next day. She was in a private room. Her parents' money had bought her the best care money could buy. The room was nicer than any apartment I'd ever lived in. There were flowers everywhere. Cards from friends and family. A television playing a movie she wasn't watching. She looked different. Smaller. Frail. The woman who'd walked down the aisle 3 months ago had been full of life and energy and confidence. The woman in this bed looked like a ghost. Like she'd already died and this was just her body waiting to be buried. Ryan, she said. Her voice was weak. You came. You asked me to. I didn't think you would. I didn't think you'd ever want to see me again. I didn't want to. But your mother said you were trying to, that you did something. She nodded. I was in a bad place. I'm still in a bad place. Everything just fell apart. The wedding. My family. My friends. I destroyed everything I cared about. Except Derek. She flinched. Derek doesn't want anything to do with me. He exposed me and then walked away. He was just using me to get back at me. He never wanted me back. Kind of like how you were using me. She looked away. I was wrong, Ryan. I was so wrong. I know that doesn't fix anything. I know you'll never forgive me. But I need you to know that you deserved better. You deserved someone who actually loved you. Did you ever love me? She was silent for a long time. I thought she wasn't going to answer. I thought she was going to avoid the question like she'd done in the church. I don't know, she finally said. I thought I did. I really did. I thought I loved you. But I also thought I loved Derek. And I thought I loved a few other people before that. I don't think I know what love is. I think I just wanted someone to want me. To need me. To make me feel like I was important. You used me because you were insecure. Yes. Do you realize how that sounds? I know it sounds terrible. I know it sounds selfish. Because it was. I was selfish. I used people. I hurt people. And I didn't care, as long as I got what I wanted. She started crying. Slow, silent tears that ran down her cheeks and dripped onto the hospital gown. It should have been a moving moment. It should have been the moment I forgave her and moved on with my life. But I couldn't. I couldn't find it in myself to forgive her. Not after everything she'd done. Not after the recording. Not after the wedding. Not after all the years of being made to feel small and unimportant and used. "I'm sorry," she said. "I'm so sorry. I know that doesn't mean anything. I know I can't undo what I did. But I wanted you to hear it from me. I wanted you to know that I realize what I did was wrong." "I appreciate that," I said. "I really do. But I can't forgive you. Not yet. Maybe not ever. I understand. I came here because your mother asked me to. I came here because I thought maybe it would help me move on. But I don't think anything's ever going to help me move on. What you did, what you said, it's always going to be there. It's always going to be in the back of my mind. I know. So what happens now?" "I don't know," she said. "I don't know what happens now. I'm in therapy. I'm trying to figure out why I do the things I do. I'm trying to be a better person. But I don't know if I'll ever get there." "You will," I said. "You just have to want it." "Is that what you did? After everything?" I nodded. "I wanted it. I wanted to be better. I wanted to stop being the victim. I wanted to stop letting people walk all over me. And I did it. It took time, but I did it. Then maybe I can do it too." "Maybe," I said. "But you have to do it for yourself. Not for me. Not for Derek. Not for anyone else. For yourself." "I don't know how to do that." "You'll figure it out. You're smart. You're resourceful. You know how to get what you want. You just need to want the right things." She looked at me like I'd just told her the secret to the universe. Like she'd been searching for something her whole life and I'd finally given it to her. "Thank you," she said. "Thank you for coming. Thank you for listening. Thank you for not hating me." "I do hate you," I said. "But I don't want to. And I think that's progress." I walked out of the hospital and didn't look back. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't do any of the things I'd imagined myself doing when this moment finally came. I just got in my truck and drove home. And when I got there, I sat in my driveway for a long time, looking at the house I'd bought with my own money, the house I'd built with my own hands, the house that no one could ever take from me. I had my freedom. I had my dignity. I had my life. And for the first time in 3 years, I felt like I could breathe. A year passed. I worked. I built. I saved. I dated a few women, nothing serious, nothing that felt like it could become something. I was content. Not happy, not exactly, but content. I'd learned to live with what had happened. I'd learned to move forward. And then I got a letter in the mail. It was from her. "Dear Ryan, I know you probably don't want to hear from me. I know I'm the last person you want to hear from. But I've been in therapy for a year now, and I've been working through everything. And I realized that I never actually gave you the apology you deserved. What I did to you was unforgivable. I used you. I lied to you. I made you feel like you weren't enough when you were more than enough. You were everything I could have wanted, and I threw it away because I was too broken to know what love really looked like. I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't expect you to want anything to do with me. But I wanted you to know that I'm getting better. I'm learning to be a better person. I'm learning to love myself so I don't have to use other people to feel important. You taught me that. You taught me what it means to be a good person. You showed me what real love looks like. And even though I hurt you, even though I'll never be able to undo what I did, I'm grateful for the time we had together. I'm not asking you to take me back. I'm not asking you to be my friend. I just wanted to say thank you. And I wanted you to know that I'll never forget what you taught me. I hope you're happy. I hope you found someone who deserves you. Because you deserve everything. Sincerely, Sarah. I read the letter 3 times. I'd never seen her handwriting before. She'd always typed everything. But this was her handwriting, messy and uneven, like she'd been crying when she wrote it. I put the letter in a drawer and closed it. I didn't write back. I didn't need to. That was years ago now. I'm married to a woman who actually loves me. I have 2 kids who drive me crazy and make me smile every day. I have a successful business that I built from nothing, a business that supports my family and employs people I actually care about. I still think about the wedding sometimes. I still think about the humiliation. I still think about the recording. I still think about the look on her face when she realized she'd lost everything. But I don't hate her anymore. I don't feel anything for her. She's just a person I used to know. A person who made a terrible mistake and had to live with the consequences. I learned a lot from that experience. I learned that love isn't always what it seems. I learned that people can hurt you in ways you never imagined. I learned that sometimes the people you trust the most are the ones who will betray you the worst. But I also learned that I'm stronger than I thought. I learned that I can survive anything. I learned that the only person who can define my worth is me. And I learned that sometimes, the worst thing that can happen to you is the best thing that can happen to you. Because without that wedding, without that humiliation, without that betrayal, I never would have become the person I am today. I never would have found the strength to walk away. I never would have found the courage to build something new. I never would have found the love I deserved. So in a strange way, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the pain. I'm grateful for the humiliation. I'm grateful for the lesson. Because it taught me what I'm really worth. And that's something no one can ever take away from me. The funny thing about moving on is that it doesn't happen all at once. It's not like a switch you flip, or a door you close, or a chapter you finish. It's more like a wound that heals slowly, a scar that fades over time, a memory that loses its sharp edges. I'm not the same person I was before that day in the church. I'm harder. More cautious. More careful about who I let in. I don't trust as easily as I used to. I don't give people the benefit of the doubt the way I once did. But I'm also more aware. More present. More grateful for the good things in my life. I still see her sometimes, in passing. At the grocery store. At a restaurant. Always from a distance, always avoiding eye contact. She looks different now. Older. More tired. The confidence that used to radiate off her is gone, replaced by something quieter, more subdued. I've heard she got married. To a decent guy, or so I'm told. A teacher, someone with a steady job and a calm demeanor. The kind of man she probably should have been with all along. I hope she's happy. I hope she's figured out how to love without using people. I hope she's become the person she always wanted to be. But I don't need to know for sure. Because I've moved on. I've found my peace. And that's enough. The day I finally stopped thinking about her, I was sitting on my porch, watching my kids play in the yard. My wife came out and sat next to me, handing me a cup of coffee. She didn't say anything. She just leaned against me, her head on my shoulder, her hand in mine. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't think about the past. I didn't think about the wedding. I didn't think about the recording. I didn't think about the hospital room. I just thought about this moment, right here, right now. About how good it felt to be loved by someone who actually saw me. About how lucky I was to have found someone who wanted me for me, not for what I could provide or how I made them feel. Are you okay? My wife asked. I'm perfect, I said. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. And I meant it. It took me a long time to understand that the people who hurt us are often just as broken as we are. They're not villains in a story. They're just people, trying to make sense of their own pain, failing in the worst possible ways. I've forgiven her now. Not because she deserves it. Not because I want her back in my life. But because holding on to the anger was hurting me more than it was hurting her. Forgiveness isn't about letting someone off the hook. It's about letting yourself off the hook. It's about releasing the weight of the past so you can finally move forward. And I've moved forward. I've built a life I'm proud of. I've loved and been loved. I've learned what it means to be truly happy. And I've learned that sometimes, the worst thing that can happen to you is the best thing that can happen to you. Because without the pain, I never would have found my strength. Without the betrayal, I never would have found my worth. Without the wedding from hell, I never would have found the life I have now. So here's to the woman who broke my heart. And here's to the man I became because of it. The end. If there's one thing I want people to take away from my story, it's this: you can't let other people define your worth. You can't let their opinions, their betrayals, their cruelty shape how you see yourself. You have to find your own value. You have to build your own life. You have to become the person you were always meant to be. And sometimes, it takes a disaster to show you the way. I spent 3 years building a future with someone who never really loved me. I gave her my time, my energy, my money, my heart. And she threw it all away like it meant nothing. But I didn't let that break me. I could have given up. I could have let the pain consume me. I could have spent the rest of my life wondering what I did wrong, what I could have done differently, why I wasn't enough. But I didn't. I chose to move forward. I chose to build something new. I chose to become the person I always knew I could be. And that choice made all the difference. So if you're going through something similar, if you've been betrayed by someone you trusted, if you've been made to feel small and insignificant and worthless, don't give up. Don't let them win. Because the best revenge isn't getting even. It's getting better. It's building a life so good that the people who hurt you become irrelevant. It's becoming the person they never thought you could be. And trust me, there's no better feeling in the world. I still tell this story sometimes. Not often. Only when I think it might help someone else. Only when I think someone else needs to hear that it's okay to walk away, that it's okay to start over, that it's okay to put yourself first. I tell it without anger. Without bitterness. Without any of the emotions that used to consume me. I tell it like a story that happened to someone else, a long time ago, in a different life. Because that's what it feels like now. A different life. A different person. A different Ryan. And I wouldn't trade him for anything. The sun is setting over my backyard. My kids are laughing, chasing each other through the grass. My wife is inside, making dinner, singing along to a song on the radio. I'm sitting on the porch, watching it all, feeling more at peace than I ever thought possible. This is my life now. This is my family. This is my happiness. And it's mine. No one can take it away from me. I think about her sometimes. About what she's doing. About whether she's found the same peace I've found. I hope she has. I really do. Because everyone deserves a chance to start over. Everyone deserves a chance to become the person they were always meant to be. Even the people who hurt us. Especially the people who hurt us. Because sometimes, the people who hurt us the most are the ones who need the most healing. And maybe, just maybe, the best thing we can do for them is to let them go. I finish my coffee and stand up. My kids run over to me, grabbing my hands, pulling me toward the house. Come on, Dad. Mom says dinner's ready. I'm coming, I'm coming. I take one last look at the sky. The sun is almost gone, painting the clouds in shades of orange and pink and gold. It's beautiful. It's peaceful. It's everything I never knew I needed. And it's all mine. I walk inside, closing the door behind me, leaving the past exactly where it belongs. Behind me. Where it can never hurt me again.